I think it was really tough match. My opponent played really good.
Filipinas, my message is just to dream big. It's important na maging ambitious kayo and don't put a limit on yourself.
She stunned the world. Eala'S' insane math challenge at Qatar Open to Valentová'S 14-word reply broke everyone. Welcome back to Court Vision Plus, the only channel where we don't just count aces, we decode the stories that make tennis the most electrifying sport on the planet. If you're new here, buckle up because what you're about to hear is not your typical match recap. This is about a moment so unprecedented, so beautifully unconventional, that it has the entire tennis world questioning everything they thought they knew about athlete activism. We're talking about February 2026. The Qatar Total Energies Open. Desert heat. $1 million prize pools. The biggest names in women's tennis converging on the gleaming hard courts of Doha. But forget the seedings for a second. Forget the rankings. Because 48 hours before the first serve, a 20-year-old Filipino sensation named Eala'S just rewrote the rulebook on what it means to give back, and the ripple effect has been absolutely nuclear. Here's the setup. Eala'S announces she's giving away 100 VIP tickets to underprivileged kids. Sounds sweet, right? Standard charity move. But then comes the twist that nobody, and I mean nobody, saw coming. These aren't just handouts. To earn those golden tickets, to sit courtside at one of the most prestigious tournaments in the world, these kids have to do something that has absolutely nothing to do with forehands or backhands. They have to pass a math test. You heard that right. A mathematics competition. Personally funded and organized by Eala'S herself. The internet exploded. Critics were baffled. Fans were in tears. And her opponent, the ice-cold Czech teenage destroyer Teresa Valentova, dropped a 14-word message that has since been screenshot, shared, and immortalized across every corner of social media. This is the story of two young warriors who reminded us that tennis is so much more than a game. This is Court Vision Plus, and you're about to witness something special. Let's rewind to understand the magnitude of this moment. Eala'S isn't just another player grinding through the tour. She's carrying the dreams of over 100 million Filipinos on her shoulders every single time she steps on court. This is the girl who trained at the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca, who became the first Filipino ever to win a Grand Slam singles title when she lifted that US Open Junior trophy. She's fought through injuries, heartbreak, and the brutal reality of professional tennis to crack the top 40 in the world rankings by early 2026. But here's what makes Eala'S different. She's never forgotten where she came from. The Philippines is a nation absolutely obsessed with sports, basketball especially, but tennis has always been seen as a rich person's game. Court fees are expensive. Equipment costs a fortune. For a kid growing up in a marginalized community in Manila or Quezon City, the idea of even holding a decent racket feels like a luxury, let alone imagining themselves sitting in a VIP box at a WTA event rubbing shoulders with the elite. And then there's Doha. The Qatar Open is the definition of excess. We're talking about a tournament where the total prize commitment exceeds $4 million. The player lounge looks like a five-star hotel. The VIP tickets can cost more than what some families earn in an entire month. This is where Iga Swiatek, Coco Gauff, and Elena Rybakina come to battle for glory and massive paychecks. It's a playground for the wealthy, a spectacle of oil money and sporting excellence colliding under the desert sun. So when Eala'S decided to make her move, she didn't just want to sprinkle some charity dust and call it a day. She wanted to make a statement that would echo far beyond the tennis court. She wanted to challenge the entire paradigm of sports philanthropy. Picture the scene. Pre-tournament press conference. The media room is packed with journalists asking the usual vanilla questions. How's your preparation? What do you think about the draw? Are you ready for the conditions? Eala'S sits there, poised and professional, answering everything with the grace we've come to expect. But then something shifts. She leans forward. Her eyes, usually laser-focused and competitive, soften with genuine emotion. The room can feel that something big is coming. She starts talking about her childhood in the Philippines. About watching kids play tennis on cracked public courts with broken rackets held together by tape and hope. About the inequality that exists in a sport that should be accessible to anyone with talent and passion but often isn't because of financial barriers. The journalists are nodding along, expecting a standard charitable announcement. Maybe she bought some rackets for a local club. Maybe she's funding a tennis clinic. Then comes the bomb. She's purchased 100 VIP tickets for the tournament. The best seats in the house. Box seats where you can hear every grunt, see every bead of sweat, feel the electricity of elite competition just meters away. She wants to give these tickets to underprivileged children who love tennis but have never had the opportunity to experience it at this level. The journalists start scribbling. Nice story. Feel-good headline. But then Eala drops the nuclear option. There's a condition. To receive these tickets, the children must compete in a mathematics competition. Not a tennis drill. Not a fitness test. Math. Algebra, geometry, logic puzzles, problem solving. She's personally funding and organizing the entire thing. The room goes silent. You can hear the air conditioning humming. Cameras stop clicking. Someone in the back mutters what everyone's thinking. Did she just say math? Eala doesn't flinch. She explains her reasoning with the clarity of someone who has thought about this deeply. Tennis, she says, is a game of angles. It's physics in motion. It's geometry playing out in real time. Every shot requires calculation, spatial awareness, strategic thinking. But beyond that, beyond the sport itself, education is the only ticket that truly lasts forever. She doesn't want these kids to just watch tennis. She wants them to understand that their minds are their greatest weapons. If they can solve problems on paper, they can solve problems on court, and most importantly, they can solve problems in their lives. This is revolutionary. Think about it. In the entire history of professional sports, we've seen athletes give away cars, houses, sneakers, scholarships, cash prizes. We've never seen an athlete demand that young fans prove their intellectual merit to access a sporting event. Some people immediately loved it. Others were confused, even critical. Why make them work for it? Why not just give them the tickets? Isn't this elitist in a different way? But the overwhelming response was pure admiration. Because Eala wasn't treating these kids as charity cases. She wasn't patting them on the head and handing out freebies. She was saying, I believe in you. I believe you're smart enough to earn this. I believe you deserve to be challenged because you're capable of rising to that challenge. She was giving them agency, dignity, and a very clear message that excellence matters in all forms. Within minutes of the announcement, #MathForTickets was trending globally. The Philippines lit up. Parents started posting videos of their kids suddenly interested in homework for the first time in months because Alex Eala told them math was important. Community centers in Doha where Eala's team set up the testing locations were flooded with applications. And let me paint you a picture of what happened on test day. Dozens of kids, some wearing worn-out shoes, others clutching beat-up tennis rackets like talismans, sitting at desks with pencils and scratch paper. They weren't trying to ace a serve. They were trying to solve for X. They were working through geometry problems about angles and trajectories. They were using logic to unlock word puzzles. The problems weren't impossibly hard, this wasn't calculus or advanced trigonometry, but they required focus, effort, and genuine thinking. One mother was interviewed outside the testing center, tears streaming down her face. Her son, she said, hated school. He thought math was useless, a waste of time. But when Alex Eala announced this competition, something clicked. He spent 3 hours studying the night before. He asked his older sister for help with fractions. He wanted to earn that ticket not because it was free, but because his hero believed he could do it. That mother looked directly at the camera and said, Alex Eala has done more for my son's education in one day than I've been able to do in 5 years. That's power. That's influence. That's what happens when an athlete understands that their platform extends far beyond the baseline. This is the court vision we talk about on this channel, the ability to see the bigger picture, to understand that sports can be a vehicle for real, lasting change. But every great story needs tension, and this one has it in spades. Because while Eala was making headlines for her math challenge, the tournament draw was released, and fate had other plans. First round matchup, Alexandra Eala versus Teresa Valentova. Now, if you don't know Teresa Valentova yet, allow me to introduce you to the Czech assassin who's been quietly terrifying the tour. At just 18 years old, Valentova is a product of the legendary Czech tennis system, the same pipeline that gave us Martina Navratilova, Petra Kvitova, Barbara Krejcikova, and Marketa Vondrousova. She's tall, powerful, and possesses a two-handed backhand that sounds like thunder when it connects. In 2024, she won the French Open girls title, dominating the junior circuit. By 2026, she stormed onto the main tour with the kind of fearless aggression that makes established players nervous. Eala and Valentova are not strangers. They're rivals in the truest sense. Both are leading the charge of the next generation. Both are hungry, talented, and absolutely refusing to wait their turn. They've clashed before, most recently in Osaka, where Valentova handed Eala a brutal, demoralizing defeat. So when the Qatar draw paired them in round one, the tension was immediate and palpable. This wasn't just another first-round match. This was a rematch. This was the math teacher versus the Czech Terminator. This was two young women who represent different paths to the same destination, forced to collide while the entire tennis world watched. Valentova has a reputation. On court, she's ice. She doesn't smile. She doesn't engage with the crowd. She's there to destroy, to dominate, to win. Some call her robotic. Others call her focused. Either way, she's the kind of opponent who makes you doubt yourself before the first ball is even struck. So when news of Eala'S math competition went viral, everyone waited to see how Valentova would react. Would she mock it? Would she dismiss it as a publicity stunt? Would she use it as bulletin board material, proof that her opponent was distracted? The answer came exactly 5 minutes after Eala'S press conference ended. While journalists were still typing up their stories, while social media was still processing the announcement, Teresa Valentova opened her phone and posted something that changed everything. No photo. No video. Just a simple black screen with white text. 14 words that would be shared millions of times. 14 words that revealed a depth of character nobody expected from the icy competitor. The message read, "You challenge their minds so they can dream of holding a racket. Pure respect." Read that again. You challenge their minds so they can dream of holding a racket. Pure respect. The internet melted. Because this wasn't some corporate-approved statement written by a PR team. This was raw, authentic recognition from one warrior to another. Valentova, who was supposed to be the villain in this story, the cold-hearted opponent standing in the way of the feel-good narrative, just completely flipped the script. She acknowledged the brilliance of Eala'S gesture. She understood the symbolism, the connection between intellectual challenge and sporting dreams. She saw what Eala was building, a bridge between education and athletics, between opportunity and effort. For an 18-year-old who was about to go to war with Eala in less than 48 hours to pause, set aside the competitive rivalry, and publicly honor her opponent's humanity, that's not just sportsmanship. That's wisdom. That's the kind of emotional intelligence that you can't coach. Look at that, Valentova said into the microphone. That is more important than any tennis match. Alex is a special person. I am honored to share the court with her. Today I won the match, but she is doing something that will last much longer than any trophy. The interviewer was speechless. The crowd started applauding again, this time for both players, for the display of sportsmanship and perspective that we so rarely see in professional athletics. In the days following the match, the ripple effects continued to spread. Other players started commenting on Eala'S initiative. Coco Gauff posted on social media about how athletes need to think creatively about giving back. Ons Jabeur mentioned it in her press conference. There are now rumors that the WTA is looking into incorporating educational challenges into their community outreach programs at other tournaments. News outlets in the Philippines covered the story nonstop. The Department of Education issued a statement praising Eala for promoting the value of learning. The 100 kids who attended the match became minor celebrities in their communities. Teachers reported that students were suddenly more engaged in math class because they wanted to be like the kids who met Eala. And Teresa Valentova? She gained thousands of new fans overnight. Her social media following exploded. People who had never heard of her before were suddenly invested in her journey because she showed that you can be a ruthless competitor and a deeply empathetic human being at the same time. Her 14-word message has been turned into motivational posters, shared by teachers, quoted by coaches. It's a masterclass in how to honor your opponent while still beating them on the scoreboard. As for the tournament itself, Valentova continued her strong run, making it to the quarterfinals before falling to Elena Rybakina in a tight 3-setter. But every post-match interview, she was asked about Eala and the math scholars. And every time, she gave thoughtful, genuine answers about the importance of athletes using their platforms for good. Eala flew back to the Philippines and was greeted at the airport by some of the math scholars and their families. She spent the next week visiting schools, talking about the intersection of sports and education, encouraging kids to pursue both with equal passion. She partnered with local organizations to create more math-based challenges tied to sporting events. The movement she started in Doha was just beginning. Here's what this story ultimately reveals. We live in an era where athlete activism is more visible and impactful than ever before. But too often, that activism is passive. It's writing a check. It's lending your name to a cause. It's showing up for a photo op. What Eala did was active. She created a challenge. She demanded something from the beneficiaries of her generosity. She treated them as capable, intelligent, worthy of high expectations. And in doing so, she gave them something far more valuable than a free ticket. She gave them confidence. She gave them a story they'll tell for the rest of their lives. She gave them proof that they can rise to a challenge when someone believes in them. And Teresa Valentova showed us that recognizing that kind of impact doesn't make you weak as a competitor. It makes you complete as a human being. She won the match, but she also won respect, admiration, and a place in a story that transcends sport. This is what Court Vision Plus is all about. We don't just want to know who won and who lost. We want to understand why it mattered. We want to see the angles that the highlight reels miss. We want to celebrate the moments that remind us why we fell in love with sports in the first place. So here's my question for you. Do you think more athletes should follow Eala'S model? Should charitable giving come with challenges that push recipients to develop skills beyond sports? Or is it too much pressure on kids who are already facing difficult circumstances? I genuinely want to know what you think. Drop a comment below with the word respect if you believe Eala'S approach was brilliant, or drop the word debate if you think this conversation is more complicated than it seems. And listen, if you made it this far into this story, you're exactly the kind of person we want in the Court Vision Plus family. Do me a massive favor and smash that like button. It tells the algorithm that deep, meaningful sports content matters. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a story like this. We've got more incredible narratives coming your way, stories about the athletes who are changing the game both on and off the court. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. A teacher. A coach. A young athlete. A parent trying to motivate their kid. This is the kind of story that deserves to spread. Until next time, keep your eyes on the ball, your mind on the angles, and your heart in the game. This is Court Vision Plus, reminding you that the best victories aren't always measured by the scoreboard. Now go out there and solve some problems.
Ahead a bit, to Abu Dhabi. Obviously, I think you're going to play there next. You've been given a wild card. Also given a wild card, as announced, was Janice Chen. You're both players sort of leading.
The fans there. How much during the game, obviously you're so locked in and focused in the game, how much do you notice outside of the games with the fans cheering you on? Do you really take notice to it, and does it help you through them?
really happy to advance to the next round. Obviously, it's not in the way I wanted it to end. Nevertheless,